Well, hey everybody, this is Chris DiFurio with Keys to the Shop. Welcome to another edition of Shift Break. Today's episode is brought to you by La Marzocco, who has been making espresso machines by hand in Florence since 1927. Their focus is on equipping coffee retailers just like you around the world with the absolute best espresso machines based on customer feedback and their relationships with specialty coffee. Their innovations, consistency, and quality are second to none. And that's why La Marzocco machines are at the heart of some of the world's best coffee bars. And, I think a lot of us have grown up with La Marzocco. It's a household name for a very good reason. Now, one of the examples, of course, of this kind of innovation is the KB90 espresso machine that has the straight-in locking portafilters designed by La Marzocco to help with ergonomics, the day-in, day-out life of a barista, the scales built into the drip tray to increase the precision of your extractions and the consistency of your extractions. And then there is the great auto flush feature on the group heads, which allows for increased cleanliness, improved workflow. And of course, it's one example of many different types of espresso machines that fit your specific needs of your unique coffee shop. And La Marzocco is available to help you select the right equipment for your cafe. All you need to do is reach out to info@lamarzocco.usa.com, and one of their salespeople will help you with that process. I absolutely love La Marzocco, and I think if you're in the market for an espresso machine or upgrading your current equipment, then that's definitely who you need to be looking to. So again, reach out to them and definitely visit their website over at lamarzocco.usa.com. Now, one of the standards that we have in coffee is that we want to erase hurdles for people getting their coffee. Now, one of the things that we use to do that now, especially after the last couple of years with the pandemic, is mobile ordering. Mobile ordering and apps are now basically a standard that customers expect from your coffee bar. It's a point of convenience that adds to the ability for your customers to seamlessly get your coffee in their hands and enjoy it. And if you're looking to get an app and get into the mobile ordering game, or just level up your existing mobile ordering, then you should look into Espressly. Espressly creates custom branded mobile apps for your coffee bar. They're dedicated to the success of independent coffee shops specifically, and they bring together that convenience of mobile ordering with that unique feel and experience that only your company has. So it's a no-risk model. There's no setup or development fees. You get a drive-through payment scanner, receipt and label printing capabilities. The data is stored in the app, and it integrates with some of the world's best payment processing systems, including Square. So go to espressly.co to learn more information about this company and what they can do for you, and sign up today. Again, if you're looking to get into the world of mobile ordering or apps for your coffee bar, then you definitely need to go sign up with Espressly. Visit them over at espressly.co. That's espressly.co. Okay, everyone. Well, I wanted to talk to you about inspiration today a little bit, because one of the things that I get questions about sometimes from clients and people who attend my lectures and trainings over at Coffee Fest is a question about how to motivate or inspire their staff. And I am of the mindset that for a lot of us, because there is the daily grind, if pardon the pun, of our work, we tend to force baristas to look outside of a coffee shop for inspiration. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, of course. But as I've said in shift breaks before, source versus supplement, there's another shift break called a trophy or atrophy, and I believe something else like the cherry on top or something like that talks about competition as an addition, not a substitution for the content and culture of your coffee bar. We are nowhere in trouble when the only way that we see baristas get really excited about our coffee or coffee itself is not because of what we're doing in our shops, but because what the industry is doing, right? Again, it's fine to look to great competitions and go, have coffee heroes, quote unquote, even though I detest that idea of coffee heroes. But people that inspire you and happenings in coffee and companies that inspire you. But what about where you're working right now? I know for a lot of you who operate coffee bars, you're a manager or an owner, you'd love to see people be inspired by what's going on there and really embrace the brand. Well, there's a lot that goes into that in the relationship category, and it's not something you can just legislate, okay? You can't just force people to be engaged, As much as we want to avoid this via systems or legislation, again, we really have to be focused on how we nurture and cultivate an environment where things naturally grow and almost can't help but be excited. And that takes time. Again, referencing another episode, differentiation takes time. It's the same concept. You can't just be different and talked about and popular simply because you've slapped on some, bizarro designs onto your brand. That only lasts so long. What you need is a heart and a being of your business that is cultivated in a way that people walk away connected to it and invested at a deeper level. And the same goes for your employees. So cultivating a culture of excitement and engagement is the first step. And I wanted to talk about a few things that I think could help you in your quest to inspire your staff. Not the least of which, of course, is the fact that as the people who are in charge, we need to be the ones resourcing the staff with the tools they need to succeed in the work. That's obviously step number one. Not so obvious when you're busy and you have blind spots that allow you to simply overlook how you are creating a lose-lose scenario for staff, which I hardly believe in most instances is malicious. I think it's just, not seen because we don't allow our focus to expand beyond what's right in front of us. But let's talk about what I think are 4 things that would really help you in your quest for inspiring your baristas. And number 1 would be inspired yourself. It's hard to admit because of the fact that we assume we're inspired, but oftentimes I think we're just another word that ends with "ired," and that's just tired. I mean, we're tired and we're zoned out and almost want our staff to be engaged and inspired as a way to help ourselves be inspired. And that's a little unfair. It's a little cart before the horse, I think. If you want baristas to be inspired, you yourself have to first personally be inspired by what you're doing. And if we're honest with ourselves, we might have experienced a certain amount of love loss for what we're doing. And then as any wonder, those of you who are parents know this, that, your kid starts to observe your behaviors and reflect them back to you. And you're like, where do they get that? Like, I'm not like that. An observant adult in your life who might be, have the ability to be honest with you might say, yeah, you are kind of like that, right? I've had this happen many times in my life. And I've even, had hard conversations with my own parents about, different propensities that I have as a father and a husband that I know I simply absorbed from them, both good and bad. This is just the human experience. And it doesn't stop when you're in a coffee shop. It just maybe even enhances, because baristas are looking for ways to win. They're looking for safe places to anchor themselves in terms of how should I behave. And what better place to learn how to behave than looking at the boss? And if the boss is not inspired, baristas are not going to be inspired. So you have to question, are you inspired? And how can you get inspired about what you're doing? Okay. The answer to that question is number 2. Is connect your work with the broader meaning and impact. And any of you who have been in business for any number of years may have forgotten about why you started your business. And I'm not saying that you completely forgot about it, but the visceral connection that you had to, what inspired you to muscle through your business plan, go get funding, spend late nights building out the bathroom and things like that. That was connected to the work you're doing because you see the end result in front of you is a coffee shop. But once the coffee shop is built and it's running, it's hard to know what the end goal is because you've already built the coffee shop and everything kind of looks the same every day. Well, this is where you need to start working on your connection to something that's a little bit more ethereal. It's more amorphous. But that's the work of leadership, is to take the amorphous and the harder to see and make that coalesce into a vision that you first are inspired by, and then you can show other people. For instance, cleaning the bathroom and making sure the bar's taken care of and stocked and having good customer service. Those things can become rote. But it's up to management and leadership to constantly, in your speech, season your speech with connective language, which kind of celebrates how the things that we do every day are making a difference. You have to find how that's happening. And when you do that, A, for yourself, and then B, for your staff, you're going to find your staff mimicking that behavior a lot more. They're going to focus on it a lot more, and they'll start pulling out that deeper meaning of the daily task more themselves. They become more engaged because they have more things to engage with. It's easier for them to grab a hold of something if you show them where to grab, right? So that's the first two things. 1, be inspired. 2, connect the work to the broader meaning and impact. And then 3, just be patient. You can't legislate passion. Passion is personal. Passion is something that you can't legislate because you kind of have to give yourself permission to be passionate about something. And whether you're dispassionate or passionate about something is a decision that you make as an individual. So I might be shown inspirational videos about farm to cup, and it might have great soundtrack, and I might have a mind-blowing coffee experience. But if I'm still working through my own personal reasons why I'm not passionate about it, it's not going to work, right? I need time. And so when you set people down in front of a TV to show them these things, or you have a long conversation, even if you feel passionate about it, you have to leave room for people to kind of flourish themselves or bloom themselves. So that's another thing. You don't want to overwater your plants, basically, and you don't want to underwater them, but you need to be observant and nourish appropriately and wait for the natural process. Trust the process, basically. Last thing here is, based on not legislating passion, you can't force through policy what you can only do through relationship. And it's not enough to say, okay, well, I've done my part to drop this knowledge about the story behind our coffee and the story behind founding the business, and now I'm just going to wait. You have to cultivate. You have to be involved. You have to keep going and be a presence of watering and nourishment and consistency yourself. And if you're inspired, that's not going to be really difficult. So you can't just jump from you skip the first 3 here and then go to the last one. You have to go kind of in order to make sure that you are able to sustain what's necessary in the cultivation process to allow for the relationship to bring inspiration to fruition in your coffee shop. So this is some brief thoughts on inspiration. I hope they're helpful. Let me know what you think. What are some ways that you inspire your staff, or you found yourself being able to get inspired in a way that is sustainable and that over the years you have actually seen produce some really cool things in your shop? You can email me, chris@keystotheshop.com. And also, I think I'll be putting a post up about this shift break on my Instagram. You can leave a comment there as well. So that's it for me today. Thank you everyone so much for joining me, and I will see you here next week on another edition of Shift Break. From keys to the shop.